It's no secret that betrayal is one of the top reasons why the weak characters get stronger. This occurs in anime and manga all the time. And I'm going to go over 10 of my favorite examples where the weak main character comes back in a much better position than they started. For this list, I narrowed down the best anime where the MC is betrayed, but he comes back with a vengeance. These are series where there was character development and story arcs that blew my mind. My goal is to include at least one anime from each of the main genres. Also, these are in no particular order. Before that, be sure to smash that subscriber button and turn on the notification for more updates. At number 10, we have Redo of the Healer. When Kearu acquired his powers as a hero who specialized in healing all injuries regardless of severity, it seemed that he would walk the path to a great future. But what awaited him instead was great agony. He was subjected to years of seemingly endless hellish torture and abuse. Kearu's healing skills allowed him to secretly collect the memories and abilities of those he treated, gradually making him stronger than anyone else. But by the time he reached his full potential, it was far too late. He had already lost everything. Determined to put his life back on track, Kearu decided to unleash a powerful healing spell that rewound the entire world back to the time before he began to suffer his horrible fate. Equipped with the anguish of his past, he vows to redo everything in order to fulfill a new purpose, to exact revenge upon those who have wronged him. At number 9, we have Rokka, Braves of the Six Flowers. Kyoma the Magian brought the human race to near extinction. Despair, pain, and sadness swept the world until the goddess of fate intervened. She chose 6 heroes known as Braves who have the power to defeat the Magian and drive it into hiding. Whenever the Magian threatened to come back and plunge the world into darkness once again, a new generation of Braves would appear, armed and ready for battle. Enter Adlet Mayer, a teenage boy who often declares himself the strongest man in the world. Chosen as a brave, he sets out to find the other heroes as rumors about the Magian's return flew all around him. Unfortunately, he and his comrades soon discover that things aren't so simple. As it turns out, there's a 7th brave. The legends state that there can only be 6 braves at a time. No more, no less. What's going on? Can they solve the mystery behind this anomaly before it's too late? At number 8, we have the heroic legend of Arslan. Arslan Senki is the story of Prince Arslan, the heir to the kingdom of Pars, a fictional land that's very much influenced by Persian history and culture. Pars is caught up in a war with the kingdom of Lusitania, who proselytize their faith violently, attacking other nations to force them to convert to their religion. But Pars too has its own evils to worry about, as the institution of slavery is in full force and slaves seemingly take up a very large percentage of the working population. Lusitania has routed the up-till then unbeaten Parsian army and seized the capital of the country as well as the king and Arslan's father. Arslan himself must gather his forces, key allies, as well as his own strength to fight back both Lusitania and the elements of the Parsian society he wishes to reform. At number 7, we have Btooom. Ryota Sakamoto is unemployed and lives with his mother, his only real achievement being that he is Japan's top player of popular video game Btooom. However, his peaceful life is about to change when he finds himself stranded on an island in the middle of nowhere with a small green crystal embedded in his left hand and no memory of how he got there. To his shock, someone has decided to recreate the game he is so fond of in real life, with the stakes being life or death. armed with a bag full of unique bombs known as BIM, the players are tasked with killing 7 of their fellow participants and taking their green crystals in order to return home. Initially condemning any form of violence, Ryota is forced to fight when he realizes that many of the other players are not as welcoming as they seem. Teaming up with Himiko, a fellow Btooom player, they attempt to get off the island together, coming closer and closer to the truth behind this contest of death. At number 6, we have 91 Days. As a child living in the town of Lawless, Agnello Lagusa has witnessed a tragedy. His parents and younger brother have been mercilessly slaughtered by the Veneti mafia family. Losing everything he holds dear, he leaves both his name and hometown behind, adopting the new identity of Avilio Bruno. 7 years later, Avilio finally has his chance for revenge when he receives a mysterious letter prompting him to return to Lawless. Obliging, he soon encounters the Veneti Don's son, Nero, and seeks to befriend him using the skills he has quietly honed for years. Set during the Prohibition era, 91 Days tells the story of Avilio's dark, bloodstained path to vengeance as he slowly ends each of the men involved in the killing of his family. At number 5, we have Berserk. After nearly 20 years, Berserk has finally come back to the airwaves. Ever since the first series from 1997 ended, many fans who went on to reading the manga began to see the true potential of this series, and its aggressively growing hardcore fanbase have been relentlessly demanding to see its remaining stories of this epic in anime form. Taking place 2 years after the Great Eclipse that concludes at the end of the movies, the world is being consumed by dark forces. The only savior the world can turn to now is Guts, who has been re-equipped with his new sword, the iconic Dragon Slayer. However, he is not motivated by bringing the world back to balance, but to find his true love, Casca, who remains catatonic after being horrifically traumatized by the events of the eclipse. Despite these new threats, since the end of the trilogy, mankind is still at war with each other, and Guts must destroy threats from human and monster alike in order to be reunited with the woman he loves. At number 4, we have Arifureta, from Commonplace to World's Strongest. The ordinary life of 17-year-old otaku Hajime Nagumo is disrupted when he and his classmates are summoned to a fantasy world and tasked with saving mankind. While his classmates are gifted with impressive abilities useful in combat, Hajime is belittled for only gaining an inferior transmutation skill that lacks any real offensive power. During an expedition in the Great Orcus Labyrinth, Hajime is betrayed by one of his classmates, plummeting him to the bottom of an abyss. Though he survives the fall, Hajime is faced with the menacing monsters and misfortunes that send him spiraling into a grim nightmare. Desperate to live and return home one day, he resolves to fight for his survival, only to meet an imprisoned vampire he names Yui, who is also seeking to escape the labyrinth. Taking an interest in him, Yui and a few others along the way accompany Hajime on his journey to find a way back home, while steadily transforming from Commonplace to the world's strongest. At number 3, we have Vinland Saga. We have Vinland Saga, a sobering tale about the horrors of war and the pointlessness of revenge. Set in the real-world Viking era, Thorfinn starts out as a cheerful kid, but when an outlaw named Askeladd kills his high invincible father, Thorfinn sneaks his way into Askeladd's gang and vows to get his vengeance one day. This anime doesn't pull any punches when it comes to violence. Innocent people die gruesome deaths for no reason other than the Vikings' greed. Thorfinn frequently gets his ass handed to him by foes that he has no chance of defeating, and even kind-hearted souls like Prince Canute learn that their lives will be miserable if they don't actively fight against the hellish society they live in. At number 2, we have Code Geass, Lelouch of the Rebellion. In the year 2010, the Holy Empire of Britannia is establishing itself as a dominant military nation, starting with the conquest of Japan, renamed to Area 11 after its swift defeat. Japan has seen significant resistance against these tyrants in an attempt to regain independence. Lelouch Lamperouche, a Britannian student, unfortunately finds himself caught in a crossfire between the Britannian and the Area 11 rebel armed forces. He is able to escape, however, thanks to the timely appearance of a mysterious girl named Cece, who bestows upon him Geass, the power of the kings. Realizing the vast potential of his newfound power of the absolute obedience, Lelouch embarks upon a perilous journey as the masked vigilante known as Zero, leading a merciless onslaught against the Britannia in order to get revenge once and for all. Finally, at number 1, we have The Rising of the Shield Hero. Naofumi Iwatani was just your average 20-year-old otaku who enjoyed MMORPGs. During a trip to the library, he finds a book about the 4 holy weapons. Little did he know, he finds himself sucked into its world along with 3 other young men who happen to be from the alternative versions of Japan. Naofumi is assigned to be the shield hero, whose information he could not find in the original book, but is immediately met with scorn and isolation. Initially, Princess Malty is willing to join his party only to have him framed for sexually assaulting her. As a result, Naofumi is exiled from the party. Left with limited resources and money, Naofumi does what he can to level up with the help of Raphtalia and Philo in order to do their part in fighting off the waves of calamity, monster attacks that come every so often. The Rising of the Shield Hero took the world by storm with its unique isekai premise of a downtrodden hero who works his way up from the bottom. So, as it happens, we finished up our rundown of the top 10 anime where the weak MC is betrayed but comes back overpowered. Be sure to comment down which one is your favorite on the list. Also share and subscribe, and hope to see you soon.